So they say if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's not really true. So I'm Daniel Norton. I'm a photographer here in New York, and I make videos like this about philosophy, about technique, and let's get to it. So yeah, it's amazing to do what you love, right? But at the same time, if you really want to be successful in any endeavor that you do, you have to work, And being a photographer is not just about taking great photos. It's about finding clients. It's about keeping track of your money. It's about kind of planning ahead. There's a lot of work to it. It's not like you just go out there and take pictures and all of a sudden you're making tons of money. And I think that's actually the thing that is the most difficult to understand for people. People will say, oh, there's no work, or they'll say, oh, well, it's not like it used to be. I mean, they used to say that when it used to be, right? For me, like that older photographers would say that to me. And I would say that to them as a young person. Oh, it was easy for you. No, it's not. It's not easy for anybody. What you need to do is look at the trends. You need to look at who's spending money on photography. You need to plan ahead. You need to build your business plan so that you can understand like where the money is going to come from and how much it costs you to do business and how much you need to make in order to survive. All these things are the business part of it, right? Not the photography part. The photography part, and so on a lot of levels, is the easy part, I'd assume, because you're here, right, watching this, which I'm assuming that means that you're a photographer, that you already understand that you're a good photographer and people want your work, right? People are like, oh, will you shoot this for me? But nobody will pay me, Yeah, exactly. Because the hard part is getting people to pay for it, right? Because you don't just shoot what you want, right? You don't just shoot things and be like, okay, now pay me. Well, unless you're those weird people in Times Square that like trick the kids into posing with them, then threaten the parents. That's a whole other thing. The point being is that, and I say this a lot, and I think it's super important, is that you need to find the people that are paying for the photography and then show them your work. Not your friends who are going to like you, not Instagram where you get a bunch of likes and followers. People that will actually pay you. And finding those people is the work, right? Doing the photography is the fun part. That's the exciting part. It's the part that we love and we get involved and we're making the photos. But finding the person that's going to pay you. And sometimes that takes reaching beyond what you normally would want to do, right? Like if you say, oh, well, I like to do portraits in, I don't know, let's say I shoot all my portraits in natural light, and I do these amazing portraits on the beach. Well, if nobody wants a portrait on the beach, you're not going to make any money that way. If everybody wants a portrait, inside, you're going to have to learn to work that way if you want to do it as a job. Now, that being said, shooting the pictures of the people inside is still going to be super fun. It's still photography and you're still going to love it. And it's still better than having a regular job, but it still is work, and you need to deliver and you need to treat it like a job. You can't be flighty and all over the place. You need to follow through. You need to work with people. You need to be professional. You need to negotiate contracts. You need to figure out your value. And that means sometimes charging less, than you would like to charge, because really the value of the photos is only so much, right? And you have to determine and be a business person enough to know what they're worth, because it's not like, oh, I'm great, just pay me. It's more like, we need a photo that does this. This photo can make this money for us, so we'll pay you this for it. That's basically how it works. Some people think that just doing something over and over again, if they do it long enough, they should just be paid more for it. But the reality is that it comes down to the worth of the item you're creating, right? If you're creating something that has a value that is a certain amount, no matter how much you're doing it, they're not going to just give you more just because, oh, well, you've done this before, so I'm going to give you more. Now, you add value to it by being the person that gets people more jobs when they have your headshot. And then the value of your headshots now goes up. Same thing if you're shooting a wedding. Same thing if you're shooting for a magazine. Magazines are easier because they usually have a rate set. But this is what you got to figure, right? Anything that you're doing has a value. And you have to be in the position to be like, okay, that's what it is. So let's say, throw a number out there. Let's say that for a portrait, people in your area are going to pay $10 for a portrait, and you need to make $100 a month, just to keep yourself above water, right? That means you got to shoot 10 portraits a month. If there's not enough time in your schedule, or you can't manage to shoot 10 portraits a month, then you can't do just that. You might be like, oh, you know what? They're also paying $5 for food photography and I have more time to do that. So I'm going to do 5 portraits and then, 10 food shoots, and that's going to give me enough money. And you got to divide your time out and figure out what's going to make you the money and do the things that are going to do that. That's the business part of it. Now, what's great about photography is that a lot of photographers do it part-time, or they do it occasionally. And it's the kind of business that you can do that because, unlike a gas station, right? You don't need to be open all the time. If you want to say, oh, I shoot this type of portrait and this is all I do, and I'm only going to take jobs that do this, then you can just do it when you want. And you will just always love it and never do the things that you don't want to have to do. But you might not be able to make as much money as you want. Now, that being said, there is such a thing as under charging and stuff, and you need to be aware of that. Because you can, if you're good and people really want the shots of somebody shooting on the beach and you're the only one that does that, now you can charge more for it. Sometimes that'll happen. But what you need to do generally is not just be lucky and be like, oh, you know what, people like the thing that I do. You need to create a buzz, make people excited about things that you do, and then people will want it more. And when people want it more, they'll pay more for it. And it's work to get people to want it more. So that's my point here. My point is that do the photography, love the photography, do what you want, but know that it's not like, you know what, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to be a photographer. I'm just going to love every day. There's plenty of days that go by that I do not pick up a camera, and that's okay. I'm still happy because, in the numbers game, I'm still doing well because I do what I want and I don't have to do a job that I'm not happy with. So do you guys work professionally as photographers? Like, how many of you are photographers, and how many of you feel like that, you do more than just take pictures? Because I feel like that's the professional photographers are going to say that, right? You're going to do more than that. Like, that's your day is not taking pictures. Your day is all these other things. But you still love it. And I think that's the key, right? I'd love to hear that. I doubt anybody's doing photography and they hate it, because I feel like it's the kind of job that, like, I remember when I first started, almost every photographer I talked to was like, don't do this to get rich. Like, you can definitely make money, but if you're doing it for the money, choose a different path, because this is difficult and not easy, and you have to do it because you really love the photography. And if you really love it, then you'll be happy that at least you're a photographer, even if you don't have all the money and the benefits and all the stuff of every single person, some of these other jobs that, let's face it, at a certain level, it's a lot easier to make money just having a regular job. But people who have regular jobs aren't doing necessarily what they love. Well, some people might love those jobs they have, I suppose. I've met people that love all kinds of jobs. So I guess what I'll say is this: do what you love. Do what you love. Do not work a job just for the money. I think that's the worst reason to work a job. But at the same time, understand that just because you're doing what you love, you can't just love it and automatically make money. You've got to look at it like there's business, because there's never a job, there's never a business that you can run that you don't have to do the business part of it. And that business part of it isn't always the fun part, unfortunately. That being said, I wouldn't change a thing. I love being a photographer. If you want to do photography professionally, or you already do it, that's amazing. It's one of the best things in the world that we can do. We get to create beauty, and capture it, and see people and meet people, or meet products, I guess, if you're a product photographer. I get to meet the product. And I just think that it's really amazing that we're able to do that. And we should be happy, but also realize that it is work. And also don't look at it like people are like, oh, you're so lucky that you get to do that. You don't have to work. We're working, believe me. There's a lot of work to it. There's a lot of hustle when you have your own business. And having your own business is tremendously amazing, but it is also work. So anyways, guys, if you haven't already subscribed, let me know what you guys are doing out there, and I'll see you next time.